The line between good and evil runs through the heart of every human being. These words from Alexander Solzhenitsyn struck me profoundly while examining documents at the Holocaust Museum. I still remember the chill that ran down my spine seeing photos of smiling Nazi collaborators, ordinary people with families and dreams. My research into how regular American soldiers participated in the My Lai massacre revealed a disturbing truth. The capacity for evil exists within ordinary systems we participate in daily. The most unsettling discovery wasn't finding monsters in history, but recognizing familiar patterns. By the end of this video, you'll never look at human behavior, or yourself, the same way again. The invisible architecture of evil. What if the greatest threat to your morality isn't some external villain, but the invisible social structures you participate in every day? I've spent years asking myself this question, especially after seeing how easily good people justify harmful actions when they're part of a system bigger than themselves. Most of us grow up with a comforting story about evil. We imagine that terrible acts require terrible people, monsters who look nothing like us. We picture cold-eyed sociopaths, people born without empathy, or individuals warped by trauma into something unrecognizable. This belief helps us sleep at night. It creates a psychological barrier between them, the bad people, and us, the good people who would never do such things. But history tells a different, more uncomfortable story. The Holocaust, the Rwandan genocide, and massacres like My Lai weren't carried out by exceptional monsters. They were executed by ordinary citizens, neighbors, civil servants, and average people who went home to their families after participating in unimaginable cruelty. This reality is so disturbing that our minds actively work to reject it. I've caught myself creating distance through psychological tricks. When reading about those who committed or enabled atrocities, I search for differences between them and me. They were from a different time, I think, or their culture was more violent. This mental distancing isn't accidental. It's a self-protective reflex that helps us avoid facing our shared humanity and vulnerability. Social psychology research over the past 70 years has consistently demonstrated that situational factors influence our behavior far more than personality traits or moral values. This contradicts our intuition that our actions flow from our character, that good people do good things and bad people do bad things. These invisible social structures function like a building's hidden framework, unseen but fundamentally determining what stands and what falls. Authority, group pressure, and institutional norms form the beams and joists that shape our moral choices, often without our awareness. Just as we rarely think about the structural engineering beneath our feet until something collapses, we seldom notice these social forces until they've already guided our actions. Philip Zimbardo's Stanford prison experiment revealed how quickly college students randomly assigned as guards began mistreating fellow students designated as prisoners. Similarly, Stanley Milgram found that ordinary Americans would administer what they believed were painful electric shocks to innocent people simply because an authority figure instructed them to continue. These weren't sadists. They were regular people placed in situations that overwhelmed their individual moral compasses. What makes these findings so disturbing is their universality. The participants represented a cross-section of normal society. When researchers investigated personality factors that might predict who would resist versus comply, they found surprisingly few reliable indicators. The power of the situation consistently trumped individual differences. This brings us to the core framework of our exploration today. We'll examine the psychological mechanisms that lead ordinary people like you and me, to commit harmful acts. We'll investigate how authority short-circuits moral reasoning, how group dynamics transform individual behavior, how dehumanizing language makes cruelty possible, and how small compromises lead to major moral violations. I approach this investigation not as a moral judge, but as a detective uncovering hidden influences, the social structures and situational forces that can transform good intentions into harmful outcomes. My goal is understanding, because understanding is our best protection. This exploration will likely make you uncomfortable. It should. We're challenging a cherished self-perception, the belief that our moral character reliably protects us from participating in harmful systems. When examining how ordinary people became collaborators in atrocities or enforcers of injustice, we're not looking at distant others. We're examining human psychology, our psychology. This discomfort serves a purpose. It develops a healthier humility about our moral fragility. Instead of assuming we would always stand against injustice, we recognize our vulnerability to the same forces that have compromised others throughout history. This recognition strengthens our moral resolve by replacing naive confidence with informed vigilance. The answer to what turns ordinary people into perpetrators doesn't lie in individual pathology. It lies in universal human psychology and social dynamics. We all respond to authority, seek social approval, protect our self-image, and adapt to environments. These normal processes, in particular contexts, can override our individual moral values. Many participants in Milgram's experiments expressed astonishment at their own behavior. They discovered something universal about human susceptibility to authority. As one reflected afterward, "I've learned something about myself that I never knew before. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to look at myself exactly the same way." Understanding these mechanisms doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but points toward effective prevention. Rather than focusing exclusively on identifying bad people, we can design systems that account for human psychological vulnerabilities through accountability structures, distributed responsibility, oversight, and ethical checks. As we explore these psychological mechanisms, approach them with genuine curiosity rather than defensive distance. Ask yourself not, "Would I ever do that?" but, "Under what conditions might I be vulnerable to this influence?" This shift from confident denial to curious self-examination is the beginning of true moral growth.